Research by Look North has discovered the number of food banks in Yorkshire has doubled in the last 3 years. There are now more than 60 offering emergency help in the region. Many of the people using the service say the rising cost of living has pushed them into food poverty.
Well, the Prime Minister has told tonight's programme the increase is because of better awareness of the help available. We'll hear from David Cameron in a moment. First, our correspondent Danny Hewson has this exclusive report.
More than 150 people queued up for a hot meal on Monday night, not in some war-torn third world country, but in the centre of Bradford, and among them, families.
It had a big impact on myself, the first family that I saw that came and queued up for the meal, and I was quite surprised. And it was the whole family.
Such is the demand for his soup kitchen. Osman's expanding, with a third service opened in Shipley just this week and more to follow. But it's the number of food banks in the region that really tells the story. 65, with 37 of those opened in the last 3 years. The simple cost of living proving too high for many families to meet.
Everything's split apart and destroyed due to financial strain and pressure, and they just keep knocking and knocking on more to take more from the people who's not got anything in the first place.
Here at St Catherine's Church in Wakefield, they've seen a 2,000% increase in the number of food parcels they're handing out. But despite the rising need, people still find it hard to ask for help.
A very typical response of people coming to see us is to come in and be very shamefaced and embarrassed, and really say, I don't know how I've ended up being in this place. But the reality is that people can end up in financial difficulties very, very easily.
Losing their jobs after working 90 years between them was the catalyst that plunged Jean and her husband into financial difficulties. Not her real name, Jean feels she can't tell people she's having to live on benefits because of the stigma that's now attached to it. And she's angry it's often portrayed as an easy ride.
It's one of those things that you've got to go through to know what it's like. Sorry. You can't explain it to anyone, because if we could walk out of this house tomorrow and go back to work, then that's what we'd do. Because on benefits, you haven't got a life.
But the squeeze on living standards doesn't just affect people on benefits.
The cost of essentials, so we're not talking about luxuries here, we're talking about the basics, we're talking about essentials. And the cost of essentials has gone up by 25% over 5 years. And if you talk to people about what's happened with their pay over that time, it certainly hasn't been keeping pace.
Even with the much talked of improving economy, volunteers here expect queues to grow, not diminish, for many years to come.
Well, Danny is in Leeds ahead of an event offering food for people who've fallen on hard times. Danny, what's happening there this evening?
Well, Charlotte, in about half an hour's time we are expecting an event where people are being asked to bring along a meal for themselves and to bring along a meal to feed someone who needs it. It is the kind of event which is growing in number right across Yorkshire, and we are expecting to see more of these kind of things as, of course, the weather turns colder. Now, it is in response to a growing need, and as we've seen in that piece we've just played, we're all just one step away from needing benefits or the charity of others. In the blink of an eye, our circumstances can change. Now, more availability, yes, definitely that is the case, and more awareness of what's happening, but also a growing need, and that is something that just can't be explained away by politicians.